Hey everyone, my name is Omar from Tamago and Friends, and today we're going to be talking about basic seasonings and layering seasonings and what seasonings to keep inside your pantry at all times. For most any recipe, there's going to be two seasonings that you primarily use. One is salt, and the other one is pepper. Now why? Well, salt opens up the taste buds. When used in moderation, it can enhance flavors such as savory, or purposely clash with sweet flavors to bring out complexity. Now, pepper adds a small amount of kick of heat to your dish, further awakening flavor profiles. And as far as what salt and pepper to use, because there's so many different types, it truly depends on what's being made. For my purposes, or for multi-purpose uses, I like coarse sea salt and black peppercorn with a grinder. Having these two seasonings on hand will aid you in the kitchen greatly. Here are some other seasonings to consider having inside your pantry or kitchen at any given time. Garlic powder, onion powder, oregano, paprika, and cayenne. Now this is not a full list of all of the foods that you could use inside of your kitchen. However, these are just some of the ones that I use on a daily basis for most of my foods. While it is important to have a certain amount of seasonings within your arm's reach, it is more imperative that you know how to use those seasonings and why you're using those seasonings in different stages of your food. This is what we're going to call layering your seasonings. Now, why do I add salt in different parts of my food instead of adding it all at once? Why do I pepper certain things but omit pepper in other locations? Well, it's to layer the flavors to provide a more complex depth of flavor for our food. For example, let's look at our butter chicken recipe. This dish layers multiple spices at different stages of cooking. We started off by marinating our chicken in a yogurt sauce that had garam masala, paprika, cayenne, and other seasonings. But why did we marinate the chicken? Couldn't we have just put the chicken directly inside of the pan and cooked it and added the seasonings when it was cooking inside the pan? We definitely could have done that. However, in order to impart multiple flavors and deepen the profile of our dish, we need to marinate and season at different times. By layering our seasonings at different points, an example of the onions when we salt and pepper our onions, and then we season the sauce once, twice, 3 times. We're building upon those flavors to create a new experience of food whenever we decide to taste it. It's multi-dimensional. So now we understand a little bit more about why we layer our seasonings, why you hear me say salt and pepper your onions while they're cooking and then add salt later on. Now, you could be asking yourself, why can't we just use an all-in-one spice mix like garam masala to our dish? And there isn't really anything wrong with that either. You can have a spice blend. In fact, there are multiple spice blends that you could use to substitute the multiple seasonings that you have. Garam masala is truly just a spice blend. I didn't even know that when I made the butter chicken. And I had all the seasonings inside my pantry, so I could have just made my own garam masala. But there's a few things to consider about blending spices. The reason why I hesitate to use all-in-one spice blends is because you can't really take anything out once you've added it to your dish. So the components that are already there are pre-measured to yield a certain taste. But say you want less of salt or less of lemon zest and you want more of something else. You can't really take out what was already included, but you can add on to it. And the problem with that is that you don't have the same amount of control as when you are using your own seasonings at your leisure. Hence why I would always recommend to just season it yourself and make sure that you have all these components. The reason I'm stressing about seasonings and we're talking about seasonings is because we often hear that this dish is bland, or I use too much of this and I don't know how to impart flavor here or make this taste a specific way. I think that seasonings, along with other techniques within cooking, are extremely important because that's what changes and molds and adds variety to the many meals that we create. The dishes that I make may be completely different from the dishes that you make depending on what we add and subtract and where we add our seasonings inside of our dishes. Now today we talked about basic spices that belong inside your pantry, along with why salt and pepper are so important, why it's in every dish, and why we layer our seasonings the way that we do. Now again, cooking is all what you make it. You can do whatever you want to do inside the kitchen, but hopefully these tips will help you be a better cook and ultimately have more confidence inside of your kitchen. If any of these tips aided you in your cooking in any kind of way, go ahead and give us a like and comment down below something that we may have missed or something that you want to add to the narrative of seasonings and how we look at things. As always, my name is Omar and this is Tamago and Friends. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye. My name is Omar